La construction hors site, c'est quelque chose d'assez nouveau. Peut-être certains d'entre vous n'en ont pas entendu parler depuis longtemps. C'est un terme que nous avons amené en France il y a seulement 2 ans et demi. Et c'est en fait une traduction du mot anglo-saxon de Hors-Site building. Quelque part, les anglo-saxons nous disent qu'il y a 2 manières de construire. La première manière, elle est ancestrale, on la connaît tous. On construit sur le chantier. Et puis, il y a une autre façon de faire qui consiste à préfabriquer des éléments, des petits, des grands, des simples, des complexes. Ces éléments, on les fabrique dans un atelier ou dans une usine. Ils peuvent être en bois, ils peuvent être en béton, ils peuvent être en acier, ils peuvent mélanger les matériaux. Ça peut être des tuyaux, ça peut être des fils électriques. Mais on va faire un préassemblage de tout ça dans une usine ou dans un atelier. Et ensuite, on va déplacer ces éléments pour les assembler sur le chantier. Donc, quelque chose qui va nous parler d'industrialisation, quelque chose qui va nous parler de préfabrication, et qui est véritablement un changement culturel très fort, parce que si on veut réussir l'industrialisation de la construction, il faut intégrer dans sa tête le plus tôt possible qu'on va avoir à penser préfabrication et industrialisation. Là encore, les anglo-saxons ont un terme très intéressant que je vous invite à retenir, qui est d'ailleurs un terme que tout le monde utilise, y compris en France, dans l'industrie, qui est le terme de DFMA, Design for Manufacture and Assembly. On va devoir concevoir pour préfabriquer et ensuite assembler. Alors, il y a un mouvement extrêmement important en France, dans le monde entier aujourd'hui vers la construction hors site. Les raisons, elles sont nombreuses. La première, c'est que vous savez qu'on a une planète qui est en train d'accueillir de plus en plus d'êtres humains. On nous annonce 12 milliards d'habitants dans les années 50. Ça s'est conjugué à une urbanisation très forte. On nous dit qu'en 2050, 80% des êtres humains vont vivre dans des villes. On nous annonce des villes de 100 millions d'habitants en Afrique. Une ville comme Bogota, en Afrique du Sud, elle grandit d'1 million d'habitants par an. Et aujourd'hui, tout ça, ça se fait sur le chantier avec une très forte utilisation du béton. Et le béton, on le sait, a un impact sur l'environnement très fort. Le béton, c'est 8% des émissions de gaz à effet de serre. La Chine utilise chaque année, tous les 2 ans, plus de béton que les États-Unis en ont utilisé pendant le XXe siècle. Et ça va arriver en Inde, en Afrique, en Amérique du Sud. Donc ça veut dire qu'il va falloir apprendre à utiliser moins de béton, peut-être du béton plus vertueux, et les gens du béton y travaillent bien entendu, et peut-être aussi travailler d'autres matériaux, notamment les matériaux renouvelables. Ce que l'on voit aussi, qui est une des raisons du développement de la construction hors site, c'est que la construction sur le chantier, aujourd'hui, a une productivité qui s'est complètement cassé la figure. Si vous regardez le dernier rapport rendu par Xerfi, à la demande d'ailleurs de Ridexpo Batimat, il y a un graphique qui est intéressant, c'est la valeur ajoutée par heure d'un ouvrier qui s'est cassé la figure de 20% en 20 ans. C'est-à-dire qu'un ouvrier, il y a 20 ans, ramenait 100 € de valeur ajoutée, par exemple. Aujourd'hui, il ne ramène plus que 80. Alors, qu'est-ce qui s'est passé? Eh bien, en fait, c'est assez simple. Aujourd'hui, tout nous pousse à faire des bâtiments plus sophistiqués. Il faut être économe en énergie. Il faut être plus vertueux. Il faut rentrer dans une économie circulaire. Il faut être bas carbone. Tout ça, ça nous conduit à faire des bâtiments de plus en plus complexes. Et pas de chance, ça arrive au moment où on est en train de perdre notre main-d'œuvre qualifiée, à tous les niveaux, chez les maîtres d'ouvrage, chez les architectes, chez les ingénieurs, l'encadrement intermédiaire, les ouvriers sur le chantier. Ces gens-là sont en train de partir à la retraite. Et ils ne sont pas véritablement remplacés par les jeunes qui sont peu attirés par le monde de la construction. Donc, l'idée de préfabriquer les bâtiments, ça a tout plein de mérites. On va réduire considérablement les nuisances dans la ville, Parce que quand on délocalise le chantier dans une usine à l'extérieur de la ville, on réduit considérablement le nombre de besoins en termes d'heures sur le chantier. Je vous rappelle qu'un chantier en ville, c'est la valse des camionnettes. Les ouvriers sur le chantier, ils n'habitent pas dans le cœur de la ville, ils n'ont pas les moyens. Ils habitent à 1 heure ou à 2 heures de la ville. Il faut qu'ils arrivent tous les matins. Il faut qu'ils repartent tous les soirs. Et on va les approvisionner tout au long de la journée avec des matériaux. Vous allez voir des exemples de construction modulaire hors site où on a réussi à diviser par 5 le nombre de transports. C'est absolument prodigieux. C'est bien sûr un bénéfice formidable pour la ville. Et on va du coup ramener des heures de travail dans des zones à l'extérieur de la ville qui sont plutôt des zones défavorisées. Et dans ces zones-là, on va ramener de l'emploi. Et on va même pouvoir le ramener en réindustrialisant quelque part la France, puisqu'on sait qu'on est capable de fabriquer, par exemple, des modules de chambres d'hôtel dans une usine qui, auparavant, fabriquait, par exemple, des grille-pains ou des moteurs automobiles, avec le même personnel, parce qu'on est dans une logique industrielle. Voilà, donc la construction hors site, c'est quelque chose de tout à fait passionnant. On a dans sa tête, quand on écoute parler de la construction hors site, des mots comme modulaire, comme préfabrication, comme industrialisation. Et on se dit, mais qu'est-ce qu'on peut bien faire avec ça? On va empiler des boîtes, ça va être moche. Et c'est pas du tout ce qu'on va vous montrer aujourd'hui. J'espère qu'on va vous faire découvrir un monde nouveau qui est absolument passionnant. Alors certes, ça change les habitudes. Et c'est là que c'est le plus difficile. C'est que techniquement, vous allez voir, on est absolument capable de préfabriquer n'importe quel bâtiment. N'importe quel bâtiment. Sauf qu'il faut, dès le départ, rentrer dans une logique de DFMA, conception pour la préfabrication. Vous allez voir un certain nombre de speakers aujourd'hui qui ont compris cette logique-là et qui font des prouesses absolument magnifiques. Bien, donc on va vite attaquer les présentations parce qu'on n'a pas beaucoup de temps. On s'est fait manger du temps par nos prédécesseurs. Donc nous avons sur le podium aujourd'hui 5 speakers formidables qui nous arrivent d'Angleterre. Et pourquoi? Parce que l'Angleterre, en fait, s'est intéressée à la construction hors site un petit peu plus tôt que nous. Pas tellement, on peut dire 4 ou 5 ans peut-être. Et ils ont fait des progrès en 4 ou 5 ans qui sont absolument étonnants. Donc on va commencer avec Mark Farmer. Mark, please. Up to you. Well, Mark, so you are an economist, CEO of CAST Consultancy, and in 2016, I think or so, the UK government come to you to ask you to make some investigation about the construction and to write a report about the construction. And you wrote a report which is become very famous, which is named Modernize or Die. So it's really powerful, this name. So can you explain us what was coming at that time, what was the report, and what's going on since 2016, so it's 4 years, and how it is going now? Thank you very much, Mark.
Merci, Pascal. Bonjour à tous. Yes, so Pascal, you're correct. I wrote a report for the UK government in 2016 called Modernise or Die, and that title probably tells you everything you need to know about my conclusions. The report was commissioned by 2 government departments. One was the Department of Housing in the UK, and the other was the Department for Business. And the 2 key areas that they were interested in was the ability to build more homes in the UK and the ability to train and reskill the workforce for the future. And that was the focus of my attention. And so you may be asking, why did I come up with the conclusion it was a case of modernise or die for construction? So for me, it was obvious, probably about a month into my investigations, that the UK construction industry was facing some challenges that it hadn't faced before. And those challenges I would characterise as being structural changes, not short-term cyclical. These are deep, long-term structural changes in the makeup of the industry. And I'm just going to take you over the next few minutes on a bit of a journey as to what that looks like, how it's showing itself in the UK construction industry, and what actually the UK government has been doing for the last 2 to 3 years to try and address some of those issues. So I'd like to take you on that journey. So, as I've just said, that was the challenge I put down to the industry: modernise or die. Very direct. Actually, look, a few of the civil servants in the UK government were a bit nervous about that terminology because it was so direct. But I was very clear that I needed to get people's attention. So it was deliberate. I didn't want the report just to sit on a shelf somewhere and gather dust. It had to drive change. It had to drive behavioural change that led to an improvement in the industry's fortunes. And effectively why I said modernise or die comes down to that statement there. I believe the UK construction industry, and I would say the French and other international industries, are all facing what I call declining resiliency. So what do I mean by that? So resiliency is about the ability to bounce back. So construction is unfortunately a very cyclical industry. It's one that is boom and bust. As economic cycles happen, the industry gets affected more than other economic sectors. It shrinks in declines, and it grows when you have a boom. But what is clear to me is it's very easy to shrink an industry. You can lay people off, you can reduce your workforce, you can stop investing. The tricky bit is how you grow again in a period of economic growth when you want to build more. And what I'm seeing now in the UK, and I think it is generic, and I travel a lot internationally, and I see the same thing in every country in the developed economies that I visited, is that we have the inability to expand at the pace that we have in the past. And this graph probably is a good indicator of what that means in the UK. So in the UK, construction employment hovers around 7% of total UK employment. And what you'll see there, going back to 1978, is the ups and downs of UK construction employment as a percentage. And you can see when we have economic cycles, it goes up and then it goes down and up again. But if you look at the trend position, the recovery that happened after the economic crash and the financial crisis is a lot shallower. The ability to come back has been much more difficult. And this really lies at the heart of why I think we have such a problem in the industry. So we have a resourcing challenge now that we've never had before. And there's 3 issues going on behind that graph. One is we have demographic change. We have an aging construction workforce. We have more people retiring every year than are coming into it. Second issue is that is made worse by the fact that young kids do not want to work in construction anymore. Not in traditional, hard, unsafe, dirty construction that we have been offering as a career for so long. And thirdly, and maybe this is a UK-specific self-inflicted change, we have Brexit. And in London, for instance, 50% of our construction workforce is non-UK, and a large proportion of that is from the EU. So all of a sudden, we have 3 issues that are undermining our resiliency in terms of construction workforce growth. So what that really means, it all comes back to productivity. Because if we're going to have a static or even declining workforce in real terms going forward, and we want to build more, whether it's homes, schools, hospitals, offices, we have to improve our productivity. And this is a recurring theme that we've had in construction, and it is a generic international theme as well. It's a low productivity industry, and whereas every other economic sector, industrial sector, has grown its productivity over the last 20, 25 years, construction hasn't. The red line along the bottom, that's a UK chart, but it's pretty much the same wherever you go in the Western world, has pretty much stayed the same. We are not improving our productivity. And this resiliency issue, this skills-based issue, is showing itself in the UK now in ways that is really distressing. And part of it is financial. So the Tier 1 contracting market in the UK has gone through a period of unprecedented financial distress. We have very well-known names that are unable to make money on large volumes of revenue They cannot deliver profit because the predictability of their outcomes has been undermined because the resourcing, whether it's in their boardrooms, whether it's in their management teams, whether it's in their project teams, whether it's in their trades and site workers, is now under pressure like we've never seen before. So it's not just a headcount issue, it's actually competency and skills. And what we've seen in the last economic cycle is actually the industry is overtraded. Actually, people that shouldn't have been working in certain roles have been working there and actually not been able to produce economic certainty for contractors. It's the same with consultants advising, and ultimately clients are picking up the bill for this. And nearly 2 years ago now, Carillion, which is the second biggest UK contractor, £6 billion turnover, went into liquidation. Massive ramifications from that. Everyone thought that was the high water mark, but no. The headlines have continued. We've had contractor after contractor still declaring losses. We've had chief executives having to resign. We had Interserve, another major contractor, go into administration and has been reconstructed as a new company. And so it goes on. And what's also happening is poor quality workmanship is showing itself. In Scotland, we had a big issue with poor quality school building. In London, Tottenham Hotspur's new ground was delivered 1 season late. In London again, we have a Crossrail major infrastructure project, which is going to probably be the best parts of 2 years late and maybe several £billion over budget. And even more recently, a major power station, which includes EDF, French company, that's going over budget already down at Hinckley in the southwest of England. And to add to all of that, we had the tragedy of the Grenfell fire in London. And that has really moved things on to another level around the scrutiny that is now applied to the UK's construction industry. Because actually, even though there's lots of reasons that have contributed to that fire, and it's still the subject of a public inquiry in London as we speak, the construction industry is at least part of the issue. It's already clear that poor quality workmanship in terms of fire protection barriers, the install, value engineering of materials has at least partly contributed to the issue there. And we have a major government consultation that's just closed actually in terms of reforming our building regulations with a view to understanding how we're going to change our building control system to make sure that we do not have another Grenfell. I can tell you now that you can write all the rules in the world and you can make it as tough as you want to build things. We don't have the people that are able to comply with those rules, then the construction industry is going to be in an even worse place. And I think that's what's going to happen. We also have politicians in the UK, probably for the first time, wanting quantity, particularly in housing, because we have to build 300,000 homes a year in the UK. We're currently building about 220,000. We need to build more homes. We need quantity, but the politicians now recognise we need quality as well. Those two things rarely come together, but in the last 18 months, Grenfell was probably the trigger for it. We've now got politicians talking about competency. So the report on the left is all about raising the bar of competency in our industry. The middle report there is all about consumer complaints about new build housing in the UK. I'll come back to that in a second. And then more recently, we have a big change happening in the UK around climate change. And I think that's a more worldwide recognition that we have to reduce carbon emissions. And I know it's the same here in France as well. So we have lots of things happening around legislation, around trying to decarbonise how we build homes and how we heat and power homes in the future. So the Future Home Standard is a piece of consultation that's going through government at the moment. And when it comes back to this issue of poor quality homes, in the UK, we have more media interest. So I'm talking mainstream television programmes, the main press newspapers, all really interested in poor quality build. All of the major house builders have been affected by this. Social media as well, so it's not just mainstream media. Social media, we're now seeing complaints about poor quality home building at a level we've never seen before. And this becomes a reputational risk for major developers and house builders. And we're seeing a lot of fallout from that in terms of house builders who wouldn't have innovated and looked to do things a different way unless they were being forced to, because their consumers are now saying, I'm not going to buy your product anymore. And what we also have is disruption. We have an automotive sector in the UK that is being disrupted, much the same as it is internationally. We have electric vehicles. We have driverless, autonomous vehicles. We have massive change happening. The manufacturing skill set in the automotive industry is looking, at least in part, at how it might diversify. And construction has to be one of those options around how some of the skills in the supply chains in manufacturing moves into a different sector. And we also have major tech companies like Amazon and Google starting to arrive into our sector, mostly in other countries at the moment, but I expect it will happen in the UK as well at some point, and it will disrupt the existing players on the pitch. So what's the government doing about this? So unfortunately, my report in 2016 started a chain reaction of other report writing, and there's lots of reports that have been written. The issue is how many of these are actually going to lead to change. What I would say is some of these reports have actually started to really drive activity and innovation in our construction industry, particularly the move towards more manufactured buildings as opposed to bespoke design, traditionally built buildings. And some of that is the carbon agenda that I've already said. So with the government's made commitments to half the use in energy use of buildings by 2030 and to be a net zero carbon economy by 2050. So massively ambitious statements there, all linked to the societal change that we are seeing at the moment around trying to protect the future of our planet. And we will not do that building buildings the way we do at the moment. Our industry is too wasteful. We waste 50% of everything we do. Our carbon footprint around materials is poor. Cement contributes 8% of CO2 alone to the UK's carbon contributions. We have to look at using different materials more productively, and we have to build higher energy efficiency buildings that can be operated with less energy. What we've also done is we've looked at defining what we mean by innovation. So we use a term in the UK, MMC, modern methods of construction. Modern methods of construction has meant lots of different things to lots of different people for the last 20 years. This year, the UK government has defined it and has published a definition, which is what this document is. 7 categories of MMC, ranging from modular, volumetric construction that you'll hear James and Rory and Henry talk about, through to digital construction. Tools that you use on the construction site that actually make you more productive. All of those things are MMC, and including category 4, which is additive manufacturing. And good to see I've seen some concrete printing over in the other hall earlier today. So France obviously looking to really innovate when it comes to cutting edge ways in which we build. We also have some major government programs that are starting to happen. So AIM-CH is a research program in the UK house building sector. It's got about £7 million worth of UK government funding in it. It's match funded by industry. It's looking to try and disrupt how we build homes in a much more productive way and to share that knowledge with the wider industry. So not just hiding it as a piece of IP, but actually sharing it with the wider industry so other house builders can understand how they manufacture their homes rather than build traditionally. And government are also intervening into the market. So there's a lot of activity at the moment in house building, whether it's piloting research and development on MMC, whether it's promoting new entrants into the market. Some of you may have heard that Sekisui House, the largest Japanese house builder, entered the UK market earlier this year. Massive disruptor. They manufacture 40 to 50,000 homes a year in Japan. That is 15% of the whole of the UK's output in one company. They are now in the UK looking at how they're going to disrupt using MMC and modular and off-site fabrication techniques. And we have other policy changes, including the Welsh government, the Scottish government are going the same way. It's all about changing the way we build because the governments have recognised we cannot carry on as we have done anymore. The industry will fall over. And in the last 6 months in particular, we've seen some really interesting activity. Goldman Sachs, the US investment house, has put £75 million investment into a company called Top Hat, who's a modular house builder based in the Midlands of England. We've had, as I've just said, Sekisui enter the market, backed with UK government money. And we've had Places for People, one of the largest housing associations doing social housing in the UK, do a deal with Ilka Homes, which is another modular home builder in the UK. And just this week, literally 2-3 days ago, the UK government has announced £30 million of a direct investment into a modular manufacturing business, which is Ilka, the same business that have partnered with Places for People. They want to create a new centre of excellence in the north of England, a new Silicon Valley, if you like, for technology-led manufactured house building. So the government interest is looking to promote a new way of diversifying our economy. When other sectors are declining, manufacturing homes can be a resurgent industry, and the government are really interested in that. And you really know things are changing when one of the top 5 house builders in the UK builds their own factory. So that guy there on the left with me is Tony Pidgley, very well-known developer in the UK. Berkeley Group, his company, is the 5th largest house builder in the UK. That on the right-hand side is a factory that they're building just east of London at the moment. It will be open early next year. It will be one of the most advanced volumetric modular manufacturing facilities for homes in Europe, actually. I would go as far as to say in Europe. And I'll just close by, so I've got the time right. So I've got a 3-minute video just to share something that got launched in London back in June, I think it was. And the GLA, the Greater London Authority, have been quite interested in how we might innovate home building in London. So London's got some very big challenges. It needs to build 60,000 homes a year. It's building about 40,000. So it knows the construction workforce is not big enough. It knows it's got quality problems. So the London Mayor, Sadiq Khan, has been pushing what he calls precision manufactured homes, which is MMC. So one of the things that my business, Cast, have been doing with another business called Bryden Wood is develop a online, free-to-use DFMA, Design for Manufacture and Assembly, digital design configurator that can be used for any site in London. So this is open source mapping, GIS, spatial data, and it's been loaded with algorithms and rules that define what systems you can use for what different types of building constraints in terms of height, spans, etc. Whether it's steel, concrete, mass engineered timber, timber framing, light gauge steel, all of that has been put into this, and it was launched in June. I'm just going to show you a video of the launch event just to give you a sense of what people are saying and what they're thinking about this.
Cities around the world are struggling with their own housing crises.
We're all facing the same big challenge, which is how we get more sustainable homes and how we get them better and faster.
The way we procure items is still as Victorian as the way we build currently, so there's lots of change that's needed.
Traditional building methods, as we all know, can only go so far, and that's where precision manufacturing, off-site manufacturing, whatever term you want to use to describe it, comes into its own and plays such a crucial role.
Through collaboration between otherwise competing companies, we've arrived at a set of limiting and optimal design property values for each PMH system. And this enables users of this tool to very quickly assess viable PMH options for their specific design.
What we've evolved here is a really good opportunity to move the market, and it is about moving a market at scale if we're going to address change.
This is about really having a step change to the next level, about trying to crack that difficult problem of standardisation, aggregating demand, and giving confidence to people across the sector.
It is a really beneficial thing that will accelerate that process and allow people to consider more options than they would have done historically, so that they can kind of open their minds to what is possible.
This is the first time there's been an open access app, which is on a citywide level, which is free to use on this scale. And I'm really proud that London's leading the way on this.
This is actually the start of a journey. So even though we've launched something today, it's the beginning of what will hopefully be a further evolution of Prism as we mature more of an online community and we have plugins and additional functionality that is built into it.
I think the open source approach is a fantastic initiative because that allows so many other brains to get in on the act and, if you like, to really supercharge the app and make it useful for everybody.
I want to see an acceleration of the take-up of precision manufactured housing. And I think Prism can really, really do that. And this country needs it so desperately, and all cities need it, because we all have this massive challenge. I work internationally with lots of other cities, and I know that they all want it. And what's so great is that they can have it.
People are seeing the art of the possible in these types of technologies, and whilst it's not the end, it's the start of a discussion to go in the right direction.
And actually it's owned by the industry. It's not owned necessarily by Bride and Wood and Cast. We've set something in motion here that the industry can then run with and take forward.
So hopefully that gives you an idea of what's going on in the UK. I'm hopeful that maybe we are modernising and not dying. It's not 100% clear yet, but we're going in the right direction. So I'd like to leave you with that thought. I know France is going in the right direction as well from what Pascal tells me and what I know from my dealings here. So hopefully we can all modernise together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you for sharing.